All right, I just felt compelled, being the comic book superhero fan that I am. I felt compelled to talk about the relatively new Teen Titans show, Teen Titans Go, which is getting a second season, much to the dismay of a lot of fans. Um, and the reason I say that is because a lot of fans of the original mid 2000s Teen Titans really, really, really hold a lot of malice toward this new one. I mean, this is very widely despised among Teen Titans fans, but people still watch it because it's Teen Titans, and I just thought I'd give my 2 cents. Um, I kind of like it. It's, I mean, I can't really, in good conscience, call it a good show, but but I also don't think it's nearly as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. I never really get angry during these episodes. I mean, I laugh here and there. Okay, here's here's the premise. It's basically it's basically taking the character designs, and the voice actors of the original Teen Titans, and basically seeing how they handle domestic life. How they hang around their tower, how they deal with each other, and doing it in a very exaggerated fashion. So, so it's no longer an action adventure show. It's strictly a comedy, and a very goofy comedy at that. And people are rioting in the streets because the character designs are a lot more cartoonish this time around. Um, I mean, for lack of a better term, they look a lot cuter. They look. It's like if you took if I don't know how many people will get this reference, but if you took the Kid Goku from Dragon Ball GT, um, how how he's kind of edgy and muscular, um, and kind of serious looking. He's basically the equivalent of the original Teen Titans. Now, imagine if you took him and then redesigned him to look like the Kid Goku from the original Dragon Ball, who basically looks a lot more cartoonish. It who basically does not look quite as defined. So that's really the it's really what comes to mind when I'm trying to describe the differences, just in terms of design. Also, there's no longer really a huge anime influence. Um, I mean, they would occasionally bring these kind of anime style visuals into the original Teen Titans, but they seem to have the animation seems to stay pretty consistent in its ridiculousness. So here's why I think a lot of people don't like this show is, um, and I think a large part of it has to do with the fact that they are taking the same characters, recognizably the same characters with the same voice actors, and essentially almost kind of making fun of the original. They are they are not trying to be serious in the slightest, and to do something like that when the original series left a lot of questions unanswered and was beloved by many a cartoon and comic book fan, it honestly I think it honestly feels like a betrayal to a lot of people. I mean, it would basically be like if they took the Justice League TV series that was on around the same time, and I really love the original, the Justice League TV series. I watch Teen Titans here and there, but but I wasn't quite as into it as a lot of other people were. Um, I was more into the Justice League, so it would be like, for me, if they took Justice League and basically made it a kind of according to Jim style sitcom where I don't know, they complained that they were getting older or something, or they were filing their taxes or whatever. It's basically the same concept as that. And a lot of people really cannot stand that they took something that was able to elicit real drama, especially for a kids cartoon show, and essentially dumbing it down, essentially, like I said, kind of making fun of it. There are several storylines in this one there are several episodic storylines that deliberately satirize storylines from the original. They satirize the Judas Contract to an extent. I mean, Deathstroke is not in this one. Slade. I'm just going to call him Deathstroke because that's his name. Deathstroke is not in this one, or at least not yet. But Ashley Johnson has guest starred once as Tara, and she has basically, it's basically going through the motions of the original episode arc where Beast Boy becomes smitten, but here it's taken to a whole new, really silly extreme where she is asking about the Titan Tower security code. She's asking about its secrets. She's asking what the valuables are. She's asking all these specific questions, and no one thinks it is suspicious, except for, I think, Raven. I mean, no one thinks it is the least bit peculiar that she is asking all these very confidential questions. And Beast Boy, who is somehow made dumber in this TV series, just goes along with it. Everyone goes along with it, really. Again, except for Raven. And they take away the drama of the original, of how they originally told it, where Tara had reciprocated feelings for Beast Boy. Here they make her literally very apathetic towards him. I mean, she is literally just using him as a means to an end. She does not harbor any feelings toward him whatsoever. She actually kind of hates him. So I think doing something like that really hits a chord with a lot of fans who really got into the drama, really got into these kind of storylines, really got into these characters. And like I said, for me anyway, it doesn't really strike a chord. Because again, I wasn't as into the original show. I do like the original show, and I can still put on an episode and enjoy it from time to time. But I can still find humor in some of these new episodes. I can still laugh at some of the jokes. A lot of the jokes revolve around physical comedy, and also a lot of them revolve around the very superficial characteristics of these characters, because this show is not meant to go deep into these characters' personalities. It is not meant to develop them in any way. It is just meant to take, okay, what is Robin's basic personality? Okay, well, he's a leader. Okay, well, let's just blow that completely out of proportion and make him this really obsessive, kind of crazy control freak who even at one point talks to his staff, who basically has a routine for everything. I think they say at one point he tried to turn sleeping into a competitive sport, and in order to get him to relax, they had to basically put a dog's electric collar on him, so he can't leave the tower. So that's basically what they did to these characters' personalities. What are I mean, they, like I said, these characters, and I think that's another thing that people really are taking issue with, is the fact that these characters have basically been reduced to the most superficial personalities possible. They have taken their basic personality traits and just kind of bloated them into these caricatures of how they originally were. And to be honest, I think this show would be more well received by fans if it wasn't the original. If it wasn't about the original 5 Titans, and if it didn't have the same voice actors. I think that would relieve a lot of the feelings of hostility and betrayal that a lot of people were feeling. But on the other hand, I really do understand why they decided to go with these 5 characters and this kind of established setting and these pre-established characters. Is because people know these characters. People are going to watch. They knew that a number of people were going to watch this show because they had grown up loving the original show and loving the original characters. I mean, if they had gone with a completely new set of Teen Titans, then that probably would have detracted from the audience that they garner. So that could be considered a form of bottom line decision making. That probably has not worked out for the best in terms of the reaction to the show. But in comparing this to other DC shows that are on right now, or have been on recently, I never got into Young Justice. My brother did. He really likes Young Justice, but I could never get into it. I tried watching Beware the Batman, and I just found it very, very kind of mediocre. In watching Beware the Batman, I was like, this has been done so many times before. It has been done better before. This is just a never-ending barrage of adequacy, of mediocrity. So in comparing this show to those, or more specifically Beware the Batman, I was just like, at least this has a personality. At least this has a sense of identity. At least this is kind of unique in that it is essentially taking this formula that had previously worked for about 5 seasons and then kind of spinning it in a new way. Granted, that new way has not exactly been well received by fans of the old show, but for someone like me, or for someone who has never seen the original show, I do think there is a decent amount to enjoy here. Like I said, I was laughing quite a bit, and not all of the jokes work, and not all the episodes work. Some of the jokes can really seem kind of forced. Some of them can really seem out of nowhere. Some of them can seem a little too ridiculous. But when it works, I actually found myself really laughing pretty hard. Like I really like the episode where Robin's staff gets broken and he has to go on this kind of spiritual quest for a new one. I like the episode where Robin has to try and relax. I got a few chuckles out of the episode where Raven's dad visits, and if you remember, Raven's dad is an evil demonic god. But in here, they just kind of put him in a sweater vest and make him kind of this struggling dad who wants to connect with his kid. That cracked me up. How they just kind of domesticated the character of Trigon. Oh wow. And while I was watching it, I was laughing, but at the same time I was thinking to myself, this is really going to piss off not just fans of the original show, but comic book fans who really love the character of Trigon and really can see a lot of villainous possibilities with this character, and it is just completely thrown out the window. Oh wow, this. So I get some enjoyment out of this show, and I do know people who hate it. I I personally know some people who hate it, and for anyone who does hate this show, I get it. It's a slap in the face, and it's a and I do admit that it probably would have been a smarter move just to use a completely new set of characters. Um, but just kind of ignoring that kind of marketing decision and kind of disregarding any connection with the original show. I know that sounds strange, but but I don't know what it is. I can just kind of disconnect this show from the original show, um, and kind of have a sense of humor, because, like I said, I kind of like the original show. I like the original show, all right. I mean, it had some really cool episodes. It had good writing and had good voice acting. Some episodes were better than others, and if I had to choose, I would choose a lot of shows in the traditional DC animated universe, probably any day of the week. Um, for instance, I would choose Justice League, the animated series, or Batman the animated series over the original Teen Titans any day. But as it is, I did like the original Teen Titans. Um, but seeing this as something relatively new, and and allowing myself to have a sense of humor about it, it's it's fine. It's fine, at least in my opinion. It's not really destroying anything, in my opinion. I mean, it's not like you can't go back and watch episodes of the original and enjoy them. It's not like your DVD copies or all the online clips of the original Teen Titans are suddenly blank. It's not like you can no longer enjoy it. I mean, you can still watch the original. The original will always be there. Um, and and in my opinion, this is just a little something new on the side. So yeah, I didn't mind this show. I I mean it, and I admit it can be a little hard for someone to apply that level of disconnect to these two shows, because just on the surface they are kind of similar. Um, like I said, in terms of characters and in terms of the the basic premise of these five teenage superheroes kind of learning to deal with each other. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on the new Teen Titans. At this point, I can stomach this new show, and like I said, if you can't, then I completely understand. I I mean, I'm not going to say that you are a bad person because you cannot stand this new show. um, I get it. I completely get the animosity toward Teen Titans Go, but it is an animosity that I do not share.